Bum 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 bum. The Peter Dislike Show. Bum 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 bum. I'm a little bit excited to see that nowadays there are 3D printers that will print in titanium, apparently, of all metals. And titanium is nice because you can anodize that as well. I want to print a metal dislike finger for some reason, just to put on my desk, and to let people know that they can support me by disliking, and also just because of that, dislike is a perfect word for describing how my life is like. Right, a lot of times, even when I do the right stuff, whether it be at work, whether it be amongst my social crowd, but because it's unpopular, right? So, for example, 20 years ago, I quit drinking soda, and I had a lot of social difficulties as a result. I don't know why in our society we can't accept people for what they eat. I was reading an article about some annoying habits to have and don't have these habits, and for the most part, they were reasonable, right? Don't borrow money from your friends. Don't certain etiquette at various events. But then they said, like, don't refuse food and all that. It just seemed very ableist. Not everybody could just freely take whatever and eat it, right? For the most part, the only reason I outright refuse food is because the alternative is I could ask you what you made your food out of and then educate you on why I can't eat that stuff. I don't think that really flows at a holiday party either, right? And so 20 years ago, I quit drinking soda, and why is it you're concerned that I'm not drinking soda? Would you hold the same kind of attitude to somebody going to a party and refusing alcohol, or maybe they refuse food out of certain religious reasons, right? Would you hold such a problem as well? But for some reason, right? And funny thing is, when I first quit drinking soda, I actually did have a few friends at in college who had to not drink soda for genuine immediate health concerns, right? I had a few friends who had cancer, unfortunately, and then I had a few friends who had type 1 diabetes, right? And for some reason, it's okay to not drink soda once you had a health issue, but to prevent one going into the future, or because of an invisible disability that nobody could really see, I am autistic, and it really helps control that to not consume sugar. Right, that was still unpopular 20 years ago. I think it's a lot more acceptable today, obviously, but that was still unpopular today. So I lived my entire life being disliked. When I was 23 years old, I had some drama in a relationship with a girl, and I left her, and I went on a date with myself, and I had the best time in my life. Unfortunately, I've gone on many, many, many dates with myself. Probably more so than with other people in the 14 years since, right? I lost count. But I would imagine 50% of the time when I go out, it's on a date with myself. Now, I wouldn't have a problem with that, except that people don't view it in the same light. How many times have you gone to the movies or gone to a restaurant, and you can sometimes see multiple dates, right? 4 people go out, 6 people go out, 8 people go out. I guarantee you've never seen 3 or 5 or 7 people go out on a multiple date. And I don't know why. Now, 20 years ago, if 8 people went out on a multiple date, it was always 4 men with 4 women, right? Nowadays, it might not be so, right? But you're still going to see an even number of people, for the most part. The day I see an odd number of people go out on a multiple date, I'm gonna throw some champagne. I mean, that's cause for celebration right there. Right. All right. So I live my life being disliked. Now, last year, I was addicted to watching the Peter Schiff show. I was glued to the show because I was looking for when would be the best time to buy silver mining stocks. I eventually maxed out my Roth IRA. I was so glued to the show that when the show would come on, I would shout, "The Peter Shit Show!" Because that's what it sounded like, right? And so I started making Peter Shit shows and putting up my middle finger. And unfortunately, I started getting a ton of dislikes. I was really upset. I had been YouTubing for 10 years at this point. All of a sudden, my channel goes to shit with dislikes. And I'm thinking what to do. And my family was suggesting that I take down the Peter shit shows and don't say that ever again. But I didn't want to back down because I would have felt really silly for even coming up with this idea, and I got really confused on what to do. And then I remembered how 20 years earlier when I quit drinking soda, I didn't get discouraged by that. I just need to push through this and to laugh about it. And one day as I'm thinking about this, I got confused and I went, "The Peter Dislike Show!" And I started asking people for dislikes. This was about a year ago now. And I got 900 dislikes on this one video. And I remember thinking, let's see how it goes. And not long after that, I accumulated 2 tons of bismuth. I maxed out my Roth IRA buying the silver mining stocks. And among other good things this past year, I've landed a few dream jobs. Although I'm starting to lose hope for humanity here in the Phoenix area. We don't love life here in Phoenix. Drug use is very high. Reckless driving is very high. People hold very little regard for life compared to other places I've been at. See, I think if more people had a hobby like making the bismuth art, like writing computer games. See, the last thing you want to do is to risk your life when you got a hobby back at home to tend to, right? And I really do think that's one reason why I've become such a good driver over the last, I haven't had an accident that was my fault in 7.5 years. And I credit that to because I have a hobby to come home to, right? I really do. I don't know if anybody has ever felt that way. It doesn't have to be a hobby. It's just some purpose to come home to, right? It just something that, oh my God, if something were to happen to me, what's going to happen to this stuff here, right? I think that really helps me be a safer driver. I really do. The fact that there are people waiting on YouTube for me to scream Peter Dislike Show, right, makes me want to be a careful driver and not get involved in an accident, right? Just my thoughts on that. If everybody just recorded YouTube videos every day, right? I don't know. It gives me a reason to not die today, right? This is the Peter Dislike Show. Bum 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 bum. The Peter Dislike Show. Bum 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 bum.